What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? When I was in high school, a friend asked me and two other friends to his house for dinner. His mom served homemade bean soup, which was very good. Toward the end of the main course, she brought out chocolate cake for dessert. She cut each of us a slice and plopped it into our bowls, in which we each still had about an inch of soup. Us guests exchanged puzzled glances, but the family dug right in, so apparently chocolate cake soaked in bean soup was an ordinary thing for them. Next story. When I was like 10 or 11, a new kid moved into our town and started at our school. I was always super nice to new kids because I moved a bit and changed schools a bit. I knew how hard it was. We made friends and he had me over for a sleepover. He decided to show me a Polaroid picture of his mother having sex with a dog. I was just like, what the F, dude, let's play Nintendo. Next story. My childhood best friend lived with his grandparents. His grandfather was a clockmaker. He mostly restored them. Their large 2-story house's walls were covered in old restored grandfather and cuckoo clocks. Each one had a small sticker with a number so he could keep track of them all. The highest number I saw was over 700. I would say 25% of them were wounds, so every hour you were treated to a symphony of clocks. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but those clocks were fantastic pieces of workmanship. Next story. This happened when I was like 6. I needed to use the bathroom at a friend's house and he led me to his parents' bathroom. The place was filled with crap of all sorts. Boxes, magazines, an inflatable pool, lots of other stuff. You could barely get in there. He pulled out a drawer from the installed cabinet by the entryway and said to pee in there. I thought he was joking until he went ahead and peed in there himself. I couldn't argue with that, so I too peed right in there. Then he shut the drawer and we went and played more Ninja Turtles. I have no idea what became of that drawer/house/family. Next story. One time I was at my friend's house while his dad was working late. His mom brought home 2 Little Caesars pizzas for us, his brother and his parents. By the time his dad got home from work, there was no pizza. So his dad just made himself a salad for dinner and no one got screamed at until they cried. Next story. I have an opposite one because I had the weird family. In high school I had a sleepover and one friend went to the kitchen in the middle of the night and saw my dad inebriated, in his underwear and stained shirt, on his knees in front of the fridge drinking mustard out of the bottle. Monday rolls around and the rumors have spread and I was like, wait. All your dads don't do that too? Lol BTW, he did in fact have his own separate mustard bottle. Next story. I have an opposite one because I had the weird family. In high school I had a sleepover and one friend went to the kitchen in the middle of the night and saw my dad inebriated, in his underwear and stained shirt, on his knees in front of the fridge drinking mustard out of the bottle. Monday rolls around and the rumors have spread and I was like, wait. All your dads don't do that too? Lol BTW, he did in fact have his own separate mustard bottle. Next story. A neighbor's dad was an avid fisherman and he whirled used these electrode things in the lawn to get worms to come up that he was going to use as bait. He would also eat some of the first ones to come up to check if they tasted right, if not he would remove the electrodes and try again another day. Next story. When I was 9 or 10 I stayed at this friend's house for the first time. So we were sitting at the kitchen table eating noodles and his mum said something, to which he screamed back at her, get F Sharon. She didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even care. I couldn't help thinking what would happen if I tried that at home. It would have been at least in butt whooping. Next story. His mom walking around topless barking a chore list while we just sat around the coffee table working on homework. She was a single mom working multiple jobs. They were latchkey kids. They didn't even bat an eyelash, but the minute she saw a new face sitting on the rug boring a hole into the distant wall, she shifted on a dime. Ducked into the mudroom, threw on her bra and work shirt, and brought out a carton of Oreos from a secret stash and was pretty much shocked into silence. I think she was terrified I'd misappropriate it to my parents, but all we cared about was cookies. Next story. One of the first times I met my husband's family, I was over at their house and husband gestured for me to sit down and be comfortable. Their house was really very cluttered. Not quite hoarder cluttered, but close. They had a couple of couches facing each other and then some other chairs. Not knowing the rules, I sat on one of the couches, which had a lot of stuffed teddy bears on it. OMG, you would think I had sat down on live bears. There were probably 20 to 30 small, medium stuffed bears on this couch. Husband's mother and twin brother both visibly reacted as if I had damaged the bears. Not antique bears either. That was when I was told that the couch was for the bears, and only for the bears, and that no one was allowed to sit on the bears' couch. Just the bears. The bears all had little beaded necklaces with their names on them to tell them apart because they were all the same brand and style. Next story. My friend's mom always gave me a box of food when I came over. One day as I left she just handed me a box of Hot Pockets. As if it was just a small trinket. Next story. Went to friend's house as a kid. Sitting at the dining table for lunch. House phone rings, everyone falls to the floor around me including the mom and dad. I'm the only one left sitting there. The dad informs me that I now must answer the phone. Hello. Johnson's house. I hold the phone out to the dad. It's for you. Everyone laughs. I am so uncomfortable. The next time that phone rang. I was the fastest to the floor, I can tell you that. Such a fun-loving family. Loved going around there. Next story. Went to my friend's house after a high school exam. Walked in and his dad and stepdad were playing sorry. While smoking cigars and his mom was making out with some random dude on the couch. She gave us $20 and told us to go get a couple large pizzas and come back. I don't know what was weirder, that my friend was like, it's not even my dad's week with me. All incredulous, or when we got back that his dad and makeout dude was gone, table all set for pizza, and his stepdad and mom acted like it was just a normal Wednesday. Next story. A toddler drinking a wine cooler. The whole family was effed up, but that stuck out to me for obvious reasons. I was only 18 at a party, drinking underage, and had no idea what to do when I saw that. I made a comment about how little kids probably shouldn't drink alcohol, but the kid's mom got scary defensive about it. Next story. Slept over at a friend's when I was around 10. She was the only girl in her family, and had 5 brothers, whose ages ranged from like 4 to 15. Everything about my friend's room/sleeping situation was normal. But her brother's room was bizarre. They shared one big room, with 3 bunk beds. Each mattress a fitted sheet, a pillow, and nothing else. No top sheets, no blankets, no comforters. Also, the boys didn't have pajamas. They all just slept in the clothes they had worn that day, with their shirts tucked into their pants, and belts on, too. Their room didn't have a door, and neither did their connected bathroom or their closets. Turns out they were fundamentalist Christians, and the boys' setup was meant to prevent masturbation. Next story. I didn't see this happen, thank God, but here's the story. I had recently moved to a new town before my freshman year, little crap hole in KS, and made a few good acquaintances, but was still learning who's interesting and who isn't, etc. This one kid, I honestly don't remember his name, seemed cool, he was into video games and stuff, we hit it off, ended up hanging out at school off and on, etc. So, one day, he asks if I want to come over after school, and I couldn't for some reason, probably work, I don't remember. He says to me, that's fine, I'm sure my neighbor will come over and we'll end up watching movies and jerking off anyway. I laughed, thinking he was being facetious or whatever, but he doesn't laugh. He does not laugh. Looks at me and turns his head a bit, I'm serious, my dad's friend comes over and we watch movies and jerk off. I thought you might want to. I did not continue the conversation, I never spoke to him again, and I also never said a thing about it to anyone. Looking back, I wish I had, pretty sure that dude was being molested, and looking back and knowing what I know now, the fact that he was so matter of fact about it, I'd bet money he had been molested most of his life. Effing terrible. Next story. Kinda the opposite. Had a friend over when my dad went on a tirade screaming and yelling at my brother and I. We thought it was normal to have emotionally abusive parents. After that, that friend never came over again. I went to his house. And his parents seemed a bit more interested in me. By the time we graduated high school, I got my diploma and walked over to hug his parents before my own at the ceremony.